Hello, I'm Lawrence Singleton, Dean of the Lubin School of Business. I'm pleased to welcome Alan Badey to the Dean's Roundtable, who serves as Chief Executive Officer of Citrin Cooperman Advisors, LLC, one of the nation's largest professional services firms. The firm helps companies and high net worth individuals find smart solutions to their problems. He's also a member of the firm's board of directors. Mr. Badey has held a variety of leadership roles in the firm, including president, managing partner for both the firm's New York and White Plains, New York offices, and he has served as a member of both the firm's management team and executive committees. Alan has also led the development of the firm's healthcare industry practice and the restructuring of the advisory service practice, and has brought in multiple new advisory practices under his tenure, including the technology, risk advisory, and cybersecurity, strategy and business transformation, and business process outsourcing practices. He is based in New York City and is focused on driving the evolution and transformation of the firm forward, providing an exceptional industry-driven client service experience, building and sustaining a one-firm culture, and enhancing opportunities for all partners and staff. Mr. Badey leverages his deep experience, vision, and collaborative leadership style to enable the firm to maintain a position as a leader in the industry and further cement the firm's mission to be the go-to regional and national professional services firm of choice for the middle market. Mr. Badey has leveraged his foundation as a hands-on tax and business advisory partner to develop best practice strategies to developing a service methodology that provides integrated and innovative custom solutions that help clients maximize their business goals. Additionally, his expertise in mergers and acquisitions and industry transformation allows him to drive the focus of the firm to continually look for opportunities to stay ahead in the industry. His firm, Citrin Cooperman, has 20 offices with 470 partners and 3,700 employees. And according to Accounting Today, the firm is the 11th fastest growing accounting firm in the United States and the 17th largest. Mr. Badey earned his BBA in public accounting from Pace University in 1990. Please welcome Alan Badey to the Dean's Roundtable. Mr. Badey, if we could begin by you just telling us a little bit more about your story, how you started, how you got here. I know the students are anxious to know your path.
Well, Larry, thank you for the kind introduction. That was a lot of information. You just reminded me that I need to shorten what's on our website for sure, because it's, first of all, I really appreciate you being here. I need a favor from all of you. I need to see your faces. So if you could turn your cameras on where your cameras are off, that would be really fantastic. This can be as
please turn your cameras on, everybody.
Yeah, please turn your cameras on. I have to tell you, I want to start with where I was 36, 37, 38 years ago, which is where you guys are today. And I think it's important to understand that anything that you want to accomplish in your career is right in front of you. So when I was in your position, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Absolutely none. I was a major in engineering at a different school. I didn't like engineering. I decided, my whole family is a bunch of engineers, and I decided I really wanted to do something different. And quite frankly, are you guys all accounting? You're all accounting majors, right? Yes? Okay, shaking of heads, raising of hands.
No, I'm actually a finance major.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. But I wasn't sure what, and by the way, finance and accounting, you're hearing me talk later, they're coming in together. All of the financial acumen that's across the industry is all starting to collapse together and work very, very closely together. So that's good. But I decided to be an accountant unknowing what was going to come at me in the future. And I transferred from the school that I was at to Pace University. I went to Pleasantville. I was not in New York City. Any of you in Pleasantville? Anybody? All right, we got Pleasantville people. That's cool. So at the time, there was no stadium there. There was very little actually there, back in the old ages when I was there. And I really did enjoy my time at Pace University. I made a lot of friends. But what I got out of Pace was something different. I got an opportunity. And that opportunity ultimately was to start to find my path as me going into becoming an adult and going into the workforce. So when I came out of school, believe it or not, in 1990, the economy had just gone through this downturn, and I ended up going to work through the work program, actually at Pace. I got a job with a company called PepsiCo. I know you've all heard of PepsiCo, but I worked at PepsiCo for a couple of years in their tax department, and I decided that I really did not like working for big corporations. I had grown up in a family business. I had a very entrepreneurial spirit, and I really wanted to go to work for a public accounting firm. And I moved from PepsiCo into the city to work for what was at that time about 100-person accounting firm. And I started my whole career in public accounting. To be frank with you, the first couple of years in public accounting, I found to be a challenge. There's a lot of knowledge that you need. And this entire profession is one that's an apprenticed profession, meaning that you have to spend time to truly understand what you're learning today at Pace is fundamental to what you will become, but there's a lot more learning that comes after school is over. And I didn't find those first couple of years that particularly interesting in public accounting. In fact, I almost left public accounting a couple of times. But as I started to gain knowledge and truly understand GAAP and gas and tax and everything else, and it became much more second nature, what it really turned into was a language of business. And that's what accounting is, right? Accounting is the language in which you perform business. And that allowed me to look at the whole world differently than I was looking at it before. I was able to actually take those skills that it took a couple of years to develop and start to have different conversations with clients, develop relationships with clients, and talk to them as a peer, talk to them as a business advisor. And that's what really started to propel my career. I stayed there at that firm for a couple of years, and then I left, and I went to a small firm in White Plains, New York. Became a partner in that firm actually at 29 years old at that small firm in White Plains. And it really became incumbent, because I was at this small firm and nobody was feeding us. It became incumbent on me to be able to go out and develop interpersonal skills that then really set everything on fire, right? When you have to be able to feed yourself and go find work yourself to keep yourself busy and to keep yourself fed, it changes the entire game. And that's what happened there at that small firm in White Plains. All the time, what I was really focused on was how am I able to support myself? How am I able to make sure that I'm going in the direction that I'm enjoying the world that I'm living in and the world that I'm working in? And how do I become more technical? How do I learn something new every single day? And that attitude and that path that I chose kept leading from one thing to the next, one good opportunity to the next. In 2001, I actually took that little firm in White Plains and I merged it into this big firm, Citrin Cooperman and Company. I thought Citrin Cooperman was huge at the time. We were doing $20 million in revenue. Turned out Citrin Cooperman was very small too. But my little $4 million firm in White Plains looked at a $20 million firm and said, wow, that's a big firm. And at Citrin Cooperman, I was lucky to get a bunch of different mentors that really helped me along my career. There are two factors that will ultimately generate success for you in your life. Number one is what you put into things. And number two is getting a little luck on your side. You can't be successful without both. So I was lucky enough that I put myself in the right place at this firm to continue to grow. And I was lucky enough that I had partners that were like-minded at this firm that we wanted to grow together. And so over these years, we've been growing together. And that has provided opportunity for our families, that has provided opportunity for our staff, that has provided opportunity for all of us to experience those wonderful things that come along in life when growth does ultimately equal opportunity. And so where we are today is as Larry said, we're at the point now where we are the 17th largest firm in the United States. We have 470 partners, 3,700 employees. We're literally across the globe. We have 600 people offshore. Most of them are in India. And the firm is in an unbelievable position to continue to capture what the future has to offer. When I think about where you guys are, I think developing that path that's going to be successful starts with you. You have to be honest with what you want and who you are and where you want to go. And you got to work on developing those skills. I was not a great extroverted person, especially in my young life. I just wasn't. I didn't like public speaking. By the way, I probably failed communications when I was, I'm sure I failed communications when I was at Pace. There were so many things in my life that I needed to work on myself, but I dedicated myself to my weaknesses and I ultimately overcame them. And the key to doing that is to learn who you are yourself and then to be honest and then to work on those things. The better you become at just being you, the more successful you're going to be in your careers. You pick up little pieces of other people and you make them you. I am a combination of my family and my friends and the people who have mentored me all along the way. And ultimately, that's what creates the opportunity that you put yourself in that place for opportunity to be successful. There's a lot of great things that have happened to me along the way, and a lot of hard things that happened along the way. I think one of the things that you have to be very, very willing to do in order to be successful in your career and in your life is be willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail, you will not attain success because you won't take the chances that you need to take in order to be successful. And that's a big point. The other is that you have to understand that there's going to be blockades, there's going to be walls in so many of the things that you try to do in your lives. And if you let those walls stop you from moving forward, you will stop. You have to find a way to get around those walls, over those walls, or through those walls, knock them down, and keep going to what you want to attain. That fire that you get ultimately in your belly that propels you forward, that's what you need to listen to. And that's what you need to drive you forward, right? In what you want to be your success. So let me talk a little bit about the firm and where we are. One of the things that's been really just unbelievable for us, for Citrin Cooperman, is we made a decision about 4 years ago. We were facing some hard times at Citrin Cooperman. We were moving from my predecessor as the CEO to myself. Firm owed a lot of money to the retired partners. The younger partners were really taking over and moving it forward. Technology was becoming a big deal inside the industry, and we can talk about that if you'd like a little bit. The number of people coming into the industry has been waning for many, many years, probably since I came out of school 100 years ago. We had to expand our services. It wasn't just about audit and tax anymore. We have a lot of finance people working here. We have attorneys working here. We have technology people working here. We have tons of other professions working inside the firm. We needed to grow from just being a CPA firm to being a professional services firm and being able to totally wrap our arms around our clients and take care of them. We needed to be able to ensure that we had a great path for the young people in our firm to grow and take advantage of what the future had to offer. So we made a decision that we needed capital. And in needing capital, we looked in various different places for that capital. And we decided at the end of the day that we would take on a private equity sponsor. And Citrin Cooperman became the second firm in the country to take on private equity sponsorship. Now, and by the way, what was ironic was the first firm, which was Eisner. I'm sure you guys have heard of Eisner, but the first firm, which was Eisner, was working on the same exact project, and we're close to each other, and we had no idea each other was working on the same exact project, which was just amazing to me. So, so we took on this private equity sponsorship, and what that allowed us to do was really bring in capital, bring in money that allowed us to take care of a lot of the things that we couldn't handle on our own. And what we've seen over the period of time is that Citrin Cooperman has been an enormous benefit. We've grown 3 times over in the last 3.5 years. We were about a $300 million firm. We're now $1 billion in revenue. We were about 250 partners. As I mentioned, we're now about 470 partners. We were about 1,200 staff or so. We're now about 3,700 staff. We had roughly 80 people in India. We now have over 600 people in India. We were able to give our staff the benefit of the equity growth inside our firm. We were able to reward the partners with more than just compensation, but with accretive growth in the value of the firm. We were able to invest in the advisory companies and the advisory services that has transformed Citrin Cooperman from a CPA firm into a true professional services firm. We were able to invest in technology that has allowed us to automate many of the things that we do inside the firm, taking away more menial tasks and letting our people focus on, quite frankly, more complicated, more valuable services for our clients. And it's really transforming the entire industry. Of the top 50 firms in the United States, I think almost a third are now private equity sponsored. And I would guess that over the next few years, you'll see probably half or more of them become private equity sponsored, which is going to allow them to grow. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up ultimately because it affects all of you, but it affects you in such a positive way. I want you to understand what the value of a CPA firm was 5 years ago. When I came out of school, I had no expectations, by the way. I was a knucklehead. But when I came out of, somebody's going to laugh at me calling myself, and thank you, Shirley. I appreciate you laughing at me. When I came out of school, I didn't really understand what I was getting involved with, and I didn't really understand where this was all going. But the way that value worked inside the CPA world was you worked really hard for 15 years, you became a partner, you worked 25 years as a partner, and then you got some type of compensation, they call it past service compensation, for a period of years after you retired, okay? In this industry, it was kind of equal to 2 times compensation. That was kind of the average. So you get paid that over 10 years after you're retired. And I thought to myself, that's great. Like, that's wonderful. I didn't have that before. That sounds good to me. So I just put my head down and I worked my tail off to get to partner. And then I kept working my tail off and working my tail off and working my tail off. But what's changed with private equity is that the valuation has changed of the industry. It used to be that 2 times compensation was kind of based on cash flow, and that's what firms could afford. And what's changed with private equity and the capital markets entering our space is that the value of the firms have dramatically grown. I mean, dramatically grown, like doubled and tripled the value of the firms. And that's really good for you as young people, because now it's not just about, can I get a great job that's earning good salary, and can I have a path to grow over many years? But can I have a path where if I really work hard and I really do a great job, can I work myself into a position that's going to create wealth for my family? And the answer always was no. That wasn't the industry. The industry was a profession. We just literally worked for a compensation and something little on the end. And now that's changed. So if I was in your position today, I would be super, super, super excited about what's going to come for the next 100 years inside this industry. The second thing is that it's changing from a technology standpoint. Now, when I came into the industry back in the medieval ages, companies, many of them, I know, you can laugh, Eugene, come on, it was the medieval ages. Those 1980s and you see videos on like LinkedIn and stuff, those people are old, man. So when I came into the industry, computerization of the entire world was really just getting started. I remember the old timers when I came into the industry saying, "Oh, accountants are going to have nothing to do because these computers are taking away all the work from the accountants." Well, there was nothing further from the truth than that. What's happened is that it made the jobs more efficient. It actually created increased work to the accountants, and it made the level of complexity of what we do about 10 times harder. So now you're hearing the same exact thing. Well, generative AI is going to take away all the jobs, and there is nothing further from the truth. Nothing. Now, what is going to happen is, and still today, a big piece of what we do is putting numbers in boxes, right? So if you're doing a tax return, all these tax forms come in and you take those numbers and you put them into boxes that put them in, and you have to know all the legalities around which number you're putting in which box. That's important. The computers will eventually technology will take that stuff away. The numbers will be in the right boxes. But here's what will never happen. What will never happen is the relationships with your clients and the way that they rely on you to help them make good financial decisions in their lives. That's piece number one. Piece number two is, as the world has gotten more and more technology efficient and literate, the complexity of what we do has grown 1,000 times. So the combination of those two things will drive value into our organizations. It will drive higher earnings into the people that are in this profession. And quite frankly, it will raise margins. Right now, margins are relatively low because labor cost is very high. But as labor cost starts to come down a little bit because you can support it with technology, those who drive in this industry will be able to make more money tomorrow than you ever thought you were making today. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So I look at this world and I say, holy smokes, I wish I was, quite frankly, 25 years old again so I could start over. I think that where you guys are is just going to be a boondoggle for many years to come. And I think the fact that there are not enough people going into the profession and you are going into the profession is actually something that will help you to be even more successful because the competition is lower. And therefore, quite frankly, you work your butt off, you're going to have an easier time to get to where you want to be. So I congratulate you. I think you're going to do it. I think you got a very, very bright future in front of you. I could keep talking for about 16 hours if you guys would like, or maybe we take a break and see if we have any questions.
Yeah, thank you for that. Really, really good explanation of your career and what you see the future looking like for the accounting profession generally. I'd like to open it up now for questions from the attendees. You can ask them in one of several ways. One way is you can raise your hand using the chat function of or using the raise hand function of Zoom. You can put your questions in the chat. Molly McGinty is going to be managing that. Or you can just raise your hand like this. But please take this opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Badey, a very successful Lubin alumnus. And while you're thinking of your questions, I'm going to start with one, if I may. You mentioned technology and how things are changing a lot. Like in Lubin, a lot of the classes that we offer in the business school here have analytics in them. If there's analytics application in the different business functional areas, we also are beginning to offer AI applications in the classes. How important is that? And what would you recommend students focus on in terms of technology learnings while they're here?
Yeah, if you're offering the AI classes, I would absolutely dive right into those as fast as you can. You know, it's funny is when I was in school, they were teaching Cobalt and Pascal, and yeah, you guys have never heard of them, right? Yeah, because they got blown by about 8,000, 8,000 times over. But those basics of what you're going to learn today, what might seem cutting edge today, whether it be Gen AI or other technologies tomorrow, are going to be they're the learning tools. They're the stepping stones for you to learn even more into the future. I would focus as much as you can on understanding technology, on understanding data manipulation, on understanding data science and how all of that works. It's really, really important.
Let me ask you another one while we're waiting for more questions to come in here. You're obviously a very successful executive. What is your typical day like, if you have such a thing as a typical day?
I do, yeah. So that's a great question. Most of my days, nobody will like to hear this, but most of my days start at 5 a.m. Anybody else get up at 5 a.m.? That's what I thought. Most of my days start at 5 a.m. I get up, I usually go to the gym in the morning and work out for about 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm usually in the office by about 7 a.m. My days are mostly spent with my team. So I have a team of 9 people. That leadership team runs the organization. That's HR and finance and IT and operations and strategy and all of our service lines, attest, tax and advisory services. And we spend time running the business, right? That could be looking at what we have to do in order to drive the profitability of the firm. That could be in terms of different initiatives that we have going on inside the service lines. That could be looking at what we're doing from a compensation standpoint. That could be working with my corporate development team and what they're doing in terms of acquisitions inside the firm. And it's really being supportive to the entire team inside the firm. I also go out and do a lot of public speaking on behalf of the firm so that people know who Citrin Cooperman is and what we're all about. And that's a lot of my day. And unfortunately, sometimes it starts at 5 a.m. and ends at 9 p.m., but it is what it is. We have a lot of fun doing it. One of the things that maybe I'll mention to the group is that 3.5 years ago, and this is exciting about Citrin Cooperman, we had become the first firm in the world to have a second private equity sponsor. So our first private equity sponsor actually sold, and you can, if you Google Citrin Cooperman and Blackstone, or you will find it. But yesterday we closed on our second round of sponsorship. We went to Blackstone. For those of you who don't know Blackstone, Blackstone is the largest private equity firm in the world. They have a $1.1 trillion under management, bigger than most of the countries in the world, believe it or not. And it's just a very exciting time here at the firm. The opportunity that's being presented to the partners and the staff here at the firm is quite frankly phenomenal. And we expect that Citrin Cooperman will continue to grow and prosper. And I think that our new relationship sets us up very well to do that. So dealing with our private equity sponsor also takes a lot of my day.
So we have a question in the chat from Nicole, who unfortunately can't come on camera. Do you feel that bookkeeping is a good basic position to gain exposure to all accounting procedures?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer the question in a different way. Bookkeeping is the basics for everything. If you truly understand debits and credits and how they work, you will go a long way in your career. It's very hard to advise companies on one-sided decisions. And bookkeeping actually trains you to think, what is the other side? What is the corresponding side of a piece of advice or a decision that I'm making? So I would highly endorse understanding bookkeeping and the basics of how accounting works. 100%.
I have another question that was submitted by our students during their registration. What's your advice for networking as a student trying to balance school, work, and career planning?
Yeah. So remember I told you that I made partner at 29 years old. You know why I made partner at 29 years old? Because when I was 24 years old, I recognized the fact that I needed to actually go out and develop relationships. So I grew up in a family business. My dad had a surveying and engineering firm. Remember, I told you my whole family is engineers. And I learned very early on in my life that if you didn't win new business, if you didn't win new business, if you didn't bring in new clients, you had to have peanut butter and jelly for dinner. And if you did bring in new business and new clients, you got to eat steak for dinner. And that is true. So, very early age, I started going out and developing relationships with bankers and attorneys. And even though I didn't really know all the technical things that I needed to know, I knew that I needed to start to develop those relationships with other young people. And as they grew and as I grew, that blossomed into referral relationships. And it really allowed me to bring new business into the firm, and it allowed me to propel my career. I did not become a partner because I was the most technical person in the world. Even today, I'm not the most technical person in the world. I know enough. Pace did a great job. That's not a knock on Pace. They did a fantastic job. But my technical skills are good. They're not great. My ability to connect with people, my ability to help them to achieve their goals outpaced my technical ability, and combined together allowed me to really become a partner at a very young age.
One of the things I find that students often need help with is how they manage their time. There's so many things competing for their time. And you mentioned the length of your typical day. How important is time management skills, and what do you recommend for students to help them hone those skills?
I agree 100%, and being organized is paramount to managing your time very well. And using a key word in a very, very careful manner. That word is no. Sometimes it's hard to say no. And sometimes there's a way to say no, even though you didn't say the word no. And learning how to do that. Listen, I think being very organized is critical. It's very easy in the world to become overwhelmed. And by the way, there was no iPhones, there was none of this stuff, 20 years ago. This is it's a killer to everybody, to all of us. It's a killer because it just sucks your time. So you've got to figure out how to separate yourself from this, give yourself time so that you can actually focus on the things that you want to get done, and then check in on this later. I'll give you a piece of advice. Nobody's ever called me in the middle of the night and said my bank reconciliation doesn't work. What we're doing is not that important that you need to look at your phone every 2 seconds. What is important is for you to have a good pace that you're working at, be organized so that you're not, drowning all of your time, sucking all the time through email and texting and everything else under the sun.
So I know you mentioned you work with tech people, you work with accounting people, finance people. What kind of position would a finance major like me have at a firm like yours?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different positions that we hire finance for, not auditing. Auditing is not one of them, just not that you want that, but so we do a couple of things that are very finance oriented. Number one is we have something called transaction advisory services. That is helping companies buy and sell. That is a very heavy finance area. Number two, our valuation, litigation support, and forensic group has a lot of finance majors inside of it. Here's what we're doing there. So that could be anything from a valuation because a company's buying or selling, or just needs a valuation for, for portfolio purposes or whatever. Two is people get into fights with each other, and they need some type of litigation support where we're going in and reviewing whatever that financial matter is to help the litigation. And then three is forensics, right? Forensics is usually it's an embezzlement or some type of theft, and you have to go in and you have to do a review on the forensics to understand where the theft happened, what happened, and so forth. So that's in our business where we tend to have a lot of finance people.
So the other question from the chat was, can you talk a bit about the culture at Citrin Cooperman and how it would be different from other accounting firms like the Big Four?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So, culture is a big word, and every company out there says, we have the best culture. We have the best culture. I think what you want to ask is not, do you have the best culture? Because there's no business in the world is going to say our culture really sucks. There's not one company. I think you have to say, what is your culture? Give me an example of what your culture is. So at Citrin Cooperman, our culture is very collaboratively, very respectful, very driven towards a balance of life for our people. And that combination of collaboration and helpfulness and team orientedness allows our people to be very, very successful. One of the things, and I'm not dissing my Big Four peers, and I have a lot of Big Four friends too, but they tend to burn their people out. They tend to work very, very long hours inside the Big Four. Now, there's benefits of the Big Four. Having your name, associated with PwC or Deloitte or EY or KPMG, that's all good. It's good for the resume at the end of the day. But the reality is that a firm like Citrin Cooperman is one that's going to give you as good an experience, quite frankly, better experience, and more diverse experience with a different atmosphere inside the firm. I'll give you an example. What time is it? 1 o'clock. In 2 hours, we're having cupcakes and champagne in celebration of our new private equity sponsor. And it's really about it's really about enjoying our time together as human beings. We spend a lot of time together, more so than we spend with our family, we spend with each other working. So we want a friendly atmosphere. We want one that people are really enjoying themselves and being happy, but working hard at the same time.
For students who are looking at you and saying, geez, I wish I could have that kind of career that guy has, what would you recommend they do right out of school? What should they do? You mentioned networking and the importance of showing up, that kind of stuff, but.
So I really think it all starts with hindsight now, Larry. This is only hindsight. I didn't really understand. I told you guys, I didn't really understand when I was at your stage. I think you gotta make a commitment. You gotta decide what you want to do and make a commitment. And then once you make a commitment and get that fire in your belly, something that's going to drive you to be successful, you need to follow that fire in your belly. So what does that mean? It means never stop learning. You want to learn as much as you humanly possibly can. I've been doing this now for 35 years. I learn something new every single day that I didn't know before. In fact, I learn multiple things every single day. Now I try not to forget them, Shirley. The second is that yes, this is a relationship business. You're technical, but you're not technical by itself. This is not Bob Cratchit here, okay? This is not green eye shades and you sit behind a desk and you write numbers down. That's not what this profession is. This profession is all about developing relationships with people and helping them to navigate through the complexity of the financial world. Accountants are the basics of that financial world. We are the language of business, period. So developing relationships. Number three, I'm sorry, I'm up to. See, I can't even count anymore. Number three is ultimately understanding how the profession works and how do you get through the career? How do you get through it? What does it actually take to keep moving up inside the firm? In most cases, it's not what you actually think it is, right? It's way more than you think it is. So understanding technology, being open-minded, learning, asking questions. There's so many different things at the beginning of the career that you need to learn. Being open-minded and being open to all of the things that are kind of come at you and trying to digest them and then focus on what you want to focus on, critical. Number four, don't think you're going to be a generalist. The generalist inside this industry went away a long time ago. Find something you have a passion for and pursue it. If that's tax, if that's audit, if that's transaction advisory, if that's valuation, if it's something to do with technology, if it's whatever it happens to be, find that passion and let it drive you forward.
Another question, how do you keep up to date on the goings-on in the accounting industry? What are your best methods of making sure that you're up to date?
From a technical standpoint, I assume the question is, or?
Just about like big events that are happening and any trends.
So there's a couple of things that you should think about doing. And if you're not doing it right now, do it right now. Okay. Number one, get a subscription to Accounting Today. Do it today. Go buy it. It's not that expensive. Accounting Today comes out every single day. It comes out electronically. It's got every single update going on inside the industry. Number two, join the State Society of CPAs in whatever state. If that's New York, join it. I think you can be an associate member, if I'm not mistaken, even before you graduate from college, and go to events that they hold. Okay. Number three, join the AICPA. I believe they have an associate membership as well. And read and go to events. They have the CPA journal. Each of them one has the Journal of Accountancy and the other has the CPA journal. They come out monthly. They're monthly magazines. They'll tell you about everything that's going on from inside the industry. Those three simple things will keep you ahead of what's going on and up to date with what's going on inside the industry. They're not deep technical things. Deep technical things are more educational, and you need to that's about working and sitting in classrooms. But those three will keep you 100% up to speed in terms of what's going on in the industry and some of the bigger technical things that are changing or challenges that are being faced inside the industry.
Okay, we have a question from Shirley, who says she's interested in pursuing a career in forensic accounting later on. What steps should she take now to get a strong foundation for that path?
Yeah, I would do a couple of things, Shirley. Number one is, if that's what your passion truly is find a firm that hires directly into forensic accounting. And I am 100% sure that PACE can help you find which firms will hire directly into the forensics litigation support kind of firm in there. Number two is that most of the forensic stuff probably starts with a good understanding of GAAP in particular. So even if you have to start in the auditing side of the world and make your way over to forensics, find a firm that's going to allow, be open as to what you want to accomplish, tell them exactly what you want to accomplish, and how do I start? So if I need to start in the auditing side of the world, how do I start in the auditing side and migrate over to the forensic side? That's what I would do.
Thank you for your advice.
You're very welcome.
I know there's a shortage of CPAs in the US, and it's always been that way. We talked before we started this. What kind of opportunities are there now for accountants, and what do you think the future of the accounting profession is going to be?
Yeah, I think that what's going to happen is, many firms, including Citrin Cooperman, have been offshoring for a long time because there's impossible to get enough people onshore to work. But as technology becomes more prevalent and gets better and works better, I think what we're going to see is actually the offshoring start to come back down, believe it or not, and the onshoring, as people now call it onshoring, start to get better leverage with technology as opposed to offshore. That's going to drive the margin that I was talking about before, because technology the cost of technology is just a fraction of what the cost of people are. So ultimately, it's going to make the firm more profitable, which will enable all of us to make more money than you can make today. I do think that that's the future in terms of dollars. In terms of our jobs and what we will do every day, it will truly become more consultative in nature, because you won't have to just worry about how do I take this number off this piece of paper and make sure it's on the financial statement right, or make sure it's in the tax return correctly. But it will be about how do I make great decisions in the business, or how do I make great decisions in my family's lives? How do we as accountants support those two things? And that will allow us to, quite frankly, maintain our stature as the trusted advisor. It'll allow us also to continue to charge premium pricing, which again really turns into the earnings that all of you are going to be able to derive during your careers. So I don't. A lot of people will look at technology as something that they're fearful of. I never looked at technology as something I'm fearful of. I think technology is nothing more than a tool, and it's how we use that tool.
Yeah.
I want to add something else. Lawrence, you'll love this. You'll love this. Okay. So if you were an investor, you're not an accountant, you're an investor. Okay. What do you want to, I want you guys to come, can you come off mute for a second, all of you? Okay. I want answers to this question. You're an investor, you're not an accountant. You're going to invest in a company. What do you want? You invest $1,000 in a company. What are you looking for?
Profit.
Yeah, you're looking for something more than $1,000, right? No different than investing in IBM stock or PepsiCo stock. If you bought stock, you don't want to buy stock and it stays the same, or you don't want to buy stock and it goes down in value. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you got the biggest private equity firm in the world, Blackstone. Do you think they're knuckleheads? There's not one person at Blackstone that graduated from any other school but one of the Ivy Leagues. Not one. They're way smarter than me. Beyond way smarter than me. I pale. Now, do you think that they would buy into accounting firms with the hope that they're going down in value or up in value? Exactly. They're not knuckleheads. We all agreed upon that 2 seconds ago, right? Do you think they know technology is coming and that technology is going to affect our industry? Damn right they do. They all know it. Do they think that technology is going to make the industry less profitable or more profitable? Not less. Telling you guys, you're at a great place. You're at a precipice inside the industry. You're coming into it at a time where things are going to continue to change in a really positive manner, not in a negative manner. If it was negative, all these big companies looking to make money off of it would not be putting all these billions of dollars into the industry. They wouldn't.
That's a great story to tell. I've never heard anybody talk about that before, but you're absolutely right. And you guys are on the forefront of private equity. Yeah. So the future is very bright for your firm. Yeah.
Future is very bright for the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, Citrin Cooperman is doing fabulous. But I think bigger than Citrin Cooperman is that this industry is going to explode. And I think the people that are in it are going to be able to take advantage of it.
Well, I think this is a great way to wrap up. It's a great story you just told. I want to thank you very much for spending time with the students today, and for those who will watch this on video, taking time out of your busy day. We have a small token of appreciation for your participation. I can't hand it to you over the Zoom call, so please look for it soon. And I want to thank all the students for being here as well. And thanks to everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
It was really great to be here. It was nice to meet all of you. I wish you really just a tremendous amount of success. Here's what I'll leave you with. Go for it. Don't leave anything on the table. It's your life. Go for it. Make the most of what you can make out of it. Don't ever look back in your life and go, oh, I could have done this, or I should have done that. Just go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Somebody says no, go around that wall. It's nice to meet you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.